Alright, hello everybody. Today I'm here with my November book haul slash unhaul. A couple things. First up, got nothing to unhaul. I'm way fucking behind on my reading wrap-ups. And also I didn't go through my tapes or my movies this month. Also, it's really early in the month to be doing a book haul, but I've got a lot of books here and I haven't done one in November yet. And my November book of the month box came, so I figured I'll do this now. And I'm kind of trying to alter how I'm doing things. I mean, I don't go shopping in real life very often. Me and my mom and my little sister went thrifting a little bit on Veterans Day. But I really only do this if, if they come to town or something like that. So we're gonna ignore trying to minimize that because not much of it happens anyway. My vague plan is, so I've got a lot of books I want to buy in thrift books. Like legitimately, I just add them all to my cart, and right now my cart's got like 115 books in it, which is a lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plan every time I get paid, I will make one thrift books order. I will have it be like $40. It's gonna we'll go around 50 is my limit, so that's twice a month. And then also we do continue paying the same amount toward my student loans. I don't know if I ever mentioned I'm doing that, but I decided to. So then that's the deal with that. That's what we're gonna plan. One book haul a month. Doing good. So we've got, most of these are from thrift books. Some of them are not. First up, I've got the Swift Family Robinson, retold from the John David Weiss original. This is a classic start. This is like a children's book version of the Swiss Family Robinson. I am not familiar with this story at all. So I figured, I don't know, I saw it on thrift books and I wanted to get at least vaguely familiar with the story, and this was the best real option I could find. Also, I got The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck, which is an American classic about a Chinese family who decides to go and farm, I guess. Apparently, it's vaguely racist, as a good amount of American classics tend to be. So, there's that. I also picked up Bless Me Ultima by Rodolfo Anaya, which, again, is a classic. It is about... Okay, so it's about this I believe this like Mexican-American family in New Mexico and stuff like that. So it looks interesting. Probably vaguely less racist, because Rodolfo Anaya sounds like he's probably not white. So we'll see. I also picked up The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. It might be insane, but the only book I've ever read by Ray Bradbury is actually Fahrenheit 451. Granted, I've read that book about 1,000 times, but like I've never read any of his short stories or anything. And so this is a collection of his short stories. Like I said, I've never read anything else by him, and I really do enjoy Fahrenheit 451. So hopefully this one is good as well. And then on the classics train, we got The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. This is about, I believe, a Mexican-American girl growing up in the Latino section of Chicago. It's a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer. It's a series of vignettes, so it should be very quick to fly through. But I've never read it, and I think I probably should. So there's that. Then I won a book from Goodreads. This is the only book from Goodreads in the stack, and that's not because I haven't been winning them, because they for some reason still fucking send me those books, even though it takes me legitimately years to read and review them. But everything slowed down, especially more recently because of both because of COVID, but also Election Day in the U.S. did slow down the mail. But I do have I Want to Be Where the Normal People Are by Rachel Bloom. This is an ARC, but it comes out November 17th, so by the time this video is up, this book will be up. Rachel Bloom, she's the lady who did Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which I watched some of and enjoyed. It's a memoir, so that should be interesting, should be kind of fun. I do think she's funny, so we'll see. Despite that, I remember didn't she do a really embarrassing like song about sex on the Bill Nye show or something like that? I think that was her. Should be fun. Then I picked up some more from thrift books. This is the theme. But I've got Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. Ignore this cover. Someone tried to put like a fake cover or something on here and tried to take it off, and it didn't quite make it. But I think Ali Brosh's blog is hilarious, and I never picked up her book. And now she recently came out with another book, and so I figured I'd pick up this first one and eventually one day pick up the next one. But I did. It's a very, very heavy because it's like this full color you know, illustrated. Fun times. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Then I also picked up Field of Screams by R.L. Stine. This is the 22nd book in the Ghost of Fear Street series. I haven't talked about it in a while, but I do collect the older Goosebumps books in the original covers. I've got some of them back here on the bookshelf. I've got one, a couple not on the bookshelf. That'll be easier. So like these old covers, because Goosebumps were my introduction to horror as a kid. I loved them a lot. I also really enjoyed the Ghost of Fear Street books, so I've also been picking these up when I find them. And so I don't think I ever actually read this one as a kid, but I'll read it now. Then 2020 Plain Song. Plain Song is my old college's literary journal, and so my last year of college, which was 2019, was when I graduated, was spring of 2019. I took a poetry class, and the professor was like, I'm going to submit one of your poems to the Plain Song for 2020. I was like, sure. I graduated, didn't think much of it, but it apparently made it in. So I got some free copies, so I have a copy of that. I will put a link to the online version whenever it becomes available. I do that on my blog. On my blog, I do have, a lot of pages up top for my original work series, which we're going to get into next. But I do have one that just says Read My Writing, which is any literary journal that I might be published in. So, speaking of original work, I did publish a novella. I actually also published 2 more books that are not in this haul because my copies haven't come yet. But The Horror at Camp New Woods did come. I think this actually was published technically in October. But this is the second book in the Otts Boys series. And okay, so Otts Boys, if you are keeping up with my published work, starts with One More Sad Song. However, this book, while it is the second Otts Boys book, it's not a sequel to One More Sad Song. It takes place, the summer before that book takes place with an entirely new main character. There is one repeat character who is kind of who this series revolves around. You don't have to read this one. You don't have to read One More Sad Song to read this one, and this one is really only in the back continuity. It's a weird thing. It's you don't need to read any other books if you're interested in this one. It's a horror novel about camp. It's very very tropey, slashery. I had a lot of fun writing it. I actually wrote this in a novella class at school originally. And that's who the dedication is to, is the 4th novella class this was born in. Also, the covers for this one, like the cover for One More Sad Song, all those Otts Boys books is done by Paris St. Mercury or Mobtropolis over on Instagram. If you're looking for some very reasonably priced, kind of more stylized book covers, I would recommend him. So, okay, more thrift books. I picked up Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. I know this looks brand new. They sell new books too. But this is a selection of feminist short stories, which I've been actually more interested in lately. I mean, I've always been vaguely interested. I mean, I would consider myself a feminist, but I've recently become more interested in reading more of like the short stories and stuff like that, learning more, So, yeah, I've just been interested in learning, getting more politically minded almost, because my general rule is like, I know what I don't like, but I don't look into what I do like. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction of yuck or okay kind of thing. So I've been looking, and I know this is fiction too, but yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I think I've read her, she had an interview on Electric Lit that I've read about 1,000 times, so I figured I would pick it up. Then, this is a book that we withdrew from the library at the school I work at, A Fly Named Alfred by John Trembath. This is about a young boy who writes a newspaper column under a fake name, and he gets found out. He doesn't get found out. Somebody hires under a fake name, and he tries to and he like bashes like the school bully or something like that, and then the guy goes for the real kid, what's his name, Harper, and says, yo Harper, you gotta find out who this Alfred kid is so I can kick his ass. And it's a whole conundrum. Then we got more thrift books. We got 2 thrift books, book of the month, lots of thrift books, bought yesterday on Veterans Day in the thrift store, and then some I got off of Amazon. So thrift books, I've got Z for Zachariah by Robert C. O'Brien. This is kind of an older, like, I want to say young adult sci-fi novel. But the reason I picked this up is because one of my students actually, she was talking. She asked me if I'd ever read it, and I said no because I haven't. And she goes, "Oh, it's a really good book." So I added it to my list, and ended up buying it. This is okay. So it's apparently a about a girl who she thinks she's the only last living person in the world or something like that. Maybe like post-apocalyptic. It does look interesting. I'll give it that. Then I picked up The Summer of Jordi Perez and the Best Burger in Los Angeles by Amy Smith. This is apparently about a girl who she gets like an internship somewhere, or she's like vying for an internship, and she falls in love with her competitor, who is also a girl, hence the rainbow. I've heard good things about it, and I've heard bad things about it. I think it looks it looked vaguely interesting. I feel like yeah, I mean, I'm interested in it. I don't really have anything else to say about that. Then my book of the month books. I again, like I did last month, I picked out 2 backlist ones plus my one pick for the month. My 2 backlist ones, I picked out The Chestnut Man by Soren Sveistrup. That's pronounced wrong, I know it is. This is from September 2019. This is like a serial killer thriller. Apparently it's very gory, which I am very into. Pretty thick. I'm into it. I'm into it. I also picked up, in a complete opposite direction, One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This is from the June 2020 picks. This is like an adult romance novel, or like a rom-com, an adult contemporary kind of thing about this plus-size fashion blogger who ends up going on like a bachelorette kind of TV show. Okay, so I have very little patience sometimes for some of the fat activism, because some of it is just, I mean, like, I always advocate, like, being comfortable with yourself and, being, like, not letting other people control how you act and who you are and stuff like that. My problem with them comes when certain fat activists or something like that, or even just plus size people in the public eye, and the tide immediately turns on them. That's where my problem mostly comes in there. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Then my pick for the month, I picked These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is a young adult historical fiction retelling of Romeo and Juliet, which sounds super fun. Also, I'm pretty sure the author's younger than me, which freaks me. Yeah, she's a student at the University of Pennsylvania. I watched this TikTok of like, it had a bunch of like young authors, like I think they said like Zoomer authors or something like that. And like I'm already like, I'm on the cusp between millennial and Gen Z. I mean, all the millennials tell me I'm Gen Z, but all my Gen Z students tell me I'm a millennial. I'm 97. And she was like born like 99 or something like that, which is insane. Anyway, but this takes place in like 1926 Shanghai, about 2 like dueling gangs, and it's like a Romeo and Juliet situation. And that sounded really good. That sounded really exciting. It sounded exciting. It's very pretty too. So then we got some more thrift books. First up, I've got Fly Girl by Sherry L. Smith. This is actually a book that I read when I was in like early high school. In the summers, I did it was like a middle school book club during the summer for the library. And this is one of the books that we read, and I remember enjoying it. But this is about a girl in World War II who she wants to join the Women's Air Force Service pilots, but she's half black and she can pass as a white girl, and so she has to do that to join this, and it sounds very interesting. So other than that, we've got Running Out of Time by Margaret Peterson Haddix, which is apparently about this girl who lives in like a frontier village, but then she escapes and finds out that's like 1999 or something, which sounded fun. Then we've got another book that I read when I was a child, when I was younger, and that is When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stead. I don't remember much about this book. All I remember is that this girl's best friend gets like punched, and that is it. And there's like some sort of time travel thing. But I figured I could reread it. It's like again, this is a children's book. It's not going to take very long. Um, but I would like to reread it and understand it this time. Then, this is a lot. I'm sorry. I've got Busted by Gina Choka. I don't know. This is a young adult novel about a girl who accidentally finds a boy cheating on his girlfriend, and then she becomes kind of the go-to cheater buster of the school or something like that. It looked interesting. I see these interesting looking books and I add them to my list, and then by the time I go and I look at my list and decide what I'm actually going to purchase, it's mostly based on price. So it looked interesting. I mean, I'm gonna read it. My goal, okay, is to read everything I possibly can. Like, I do not care. I want to read everything, you know, and I think that the only way to get better at writing is to be reading widely in all these genres, and I just want to read everything. So also, I never DNF anything. I also picked up Solstice, The Devouring Book 2 by Simon Holt. I read book 1 recently, The Devouring. I enjoyed it. I also have book 3 in here. This is a series. It's like a young adult horror series. It's actually surprisingly gory. I actually really enjoyed the first book quite a bit. I also picked up The Days of the French Revolution by Christopher Hibbert. I very much enjoy the French Revolution. It is one of my like 2 main history things that I really like. I mean, it's the Civil War, the American Civil War, and the French Revolution of, you know, the 1789 one. La Révolution de 1900. La Révolution de 1789. You know, that whole thing. I was a French minor. So I picked this up. Apparently it's very like narratively told, which should be interesting. And then I've got the third Devouring book, which is Fearscape. Like I said, young adult horror. I like the first one a lot more than I thought I would. It was very popular back in like 2011-ish, and my library withdrew the first one when I still worked there, so I picked it up, and I'm glad I did because I did very much enjoy it, and now I've got books 2 and 3. Then I've got a very kind of gross copy. It got some weird stains on there. It's Yours for Eternity by Damien Eccles and Laurie Davis. So I have said that I love Damien Eccles' writing so much that I'd read his grocery lists. However, I never bought this book. It's just a bunch of love letters between Damien and Laurie when he was on death row. But I figured that if I said I would read his grocery list, I better just come through and read this. Because again, his writing is phenomenal. And so if I have to wade through sappy, Wicca-charged letters with a weird stain on the front, I will. I'll do it. I'm reading his magic books, I might as well read that one, you know. Then I picked up, this is the last thrift book, by the way. This is Not a Love Letter by Kim Purcell. This is about a young adult contemporary novel. It's about this couple who are dating, and they decide that before they graduate high school, they're going to take a break for 1 week. They're going to decide if they want to keep this going into college. But then the boyfriend disappears, and the thing is, the girl's white, the boyfriend's black, and there is some racist stuff going on. So she thinks it's more than just a runaway thing, and so she's like writing a letter to him or something like that. It sounded pretty interesting, actually. Also, the person who had this before me wrote all over it, which I kind of dig. I kind of dig it. I like that a lot. So there's this. Then all the books I bought yesterday at the thrift. Okay, first up, I've got a set of 2 books. So I read the first book in this duology when I was like 9 years old, and I loved them a lot. And that is Boys Are Dogs by Leslie Margolis. I never read the sequel, Girls Acting Catty, but now I have them both. I loved this book so much. I read it over and over and over again. I thought it was so much fun. I don't know where my copy went though. So now I have books 1 and 2 in this it's like, you know, children's, you know, like very for a 10-year-old girl kind of stuff. I loved them. I also picked up this copy of Tom Sawyer. The reason I picked it up is because this is an interesting edition, and that it credits Mark Twain's actual name. It says by Samuel L. Clemens instead of Mark Twain. And if you didn't know, Samuel L. Clemens was his actual name. He just wrote under Mark Twain. So that was really interesting to me personally. cool underneath the dust jacket. Mark Twain is probably one of the greatest American authors that's ever lived, so I'm always down to pick up another copy of Tom Sawyer. Then I picked up My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Backman. Beartown, if you didn't know, one of my favorite books of 2018, I want to say. I read Us Against You, I read his nonfiction book, so whenever I've been finding any of his books, I've been picking them up because he is a fantastic author. I have no idea what this is about, but it's by Frederick Backman, so I had to pick it up. Then I picked up a thriller, and that is The Widow by Fiona Barton. This is about like this woman who, like, she was married to somebody who was accused of committing a crime, but now he's dead, so she can actually talk about what he was like or something like that. It's got a blurb from Stephen King on the front, and he compared it to Gone Girl, so I figured I would pick it up. Then I picked up The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I have heard vaguely interesting things about this one. It's like about the murder of this same like woman, and then this like detective or something is caught in like a time loop, and he keeps having like he'll go back and back and back and try and figure out who killed this woman. Very thick boy, looked interesting. Figured I'd check it out. Then I picked up Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys. I've been meaning to pick up her books for a while. She writes like young adult historical fiction, and this one is about a girl born in a brothel in like, I want to say the 20s. I don't know exactly when. I think it's the 20s, but I am not sure. You gonna tell me? No, it's like the 40s or 50s. Either way, it looked interesting. It looked really interesting. Then I picked up Panic by Lauren Oliver, which I meant to pick up when it came out. It looked vaguely interesting. It's about like this like high school class where or like this town where every year like the seniors in high school have the opportunity to participate in this game, but if they don't complete it, they die. I think, I don't know the specifics, but I wanted to read it when it first came out. So then two more of these. I got Ernest Hemingway's To Have and Have Not. What's interesting about this is that this was actually originally bought from the Hemingway house. Not Hemingford Home. Is it Hemingford Home? No, Hemingway House. And it's got even like the stamp at the front there with like the Hemingway Homeland Museum. So that's super interesting. But the only Hemingway I've ever read, apart from a couple of short stories, is The Sun Also Rises. So I figured I should read a bit more. Someday I'll read For Whom the Bell Tolls, but until I do, I'll just be happy with the Metallica song. So the last book from thrift stores, I've got The Special Ones by M. Bailey. I read the back and I read Cult, and that was all I needed to know. That's all you need to know too. And then two books from Amazon. First up, I had a Warrior Cat pre-order come in. That is Darkness Within, which is the fourth book in the Broken Code series. I've been, I read this series a lot as a kid, and I've now caught up to where pretty much, I've got some books over there that I haven't finished yet, but pretty much caught up to where they are now. And so I've been kind of logging my experience rereading these, and then going on and reading these because I love them a lot as a kid. So I've been pre-ordering them as they come out. And finally, was this the night of the election? No, not the night of the election, but the night that the election was called. I think it was. Like I've been saying, I've been thinking about getting more politically minded. And so I bought one of Bernie Sanders' books. This is Our Revolution. I was never super big into Bernie Sanders. I like him, I just have like a knee-jerk reaction to enjoy him, mostly because of his accent. My favorite memory of 2016 election, it forever remains, I think it was at like the Iowa town hall or something like that, where they were talking to him about his age, which by the way, at this point, we should have just let Bernie do it and stop thinking about how old he was. The interviewer or whatever asked him, like, so you're 75 years old, and he interrupts like, 74! I love it. Just that ornery old Jewish man. I love it. But I mean, in 2016, I liked Martin O'Malley, to be completely honest. I don't even know if I paid enough attention in 2020. But I figured I would check it out. I think this is his book from 2016, actually. But yeah, it's from 2016. It's like, well, I don't know. I was just interested, So that is all. Those are the books that I got in November, the first half of November. But that's my November book haul. That's all for today. I will see you later and goodbye.